So today is the second day of parallel lines with transversals. And like I said, when you have parallel lines, so I'm going to write this above here. So write this down, please. When you have parallel lines, this is the symbol for parallel, by the way. Parallel lines and transversals. The transversal is that line that crosses both of those parallel lines. Form two types of angles. Form either congruent remember we said congruent means equal size or supplementary angles. Okay, so parallel lines and transversals form either congruent or supplementary angles. And that actually makes this super easy. So we're going to go ahead and look at these two lines. We're going to assume they're parallel. You got line M and N, and they're cut by a transversal T, line T. Okay, and they're asking us to find this measurement of this angle X. Now, if you look, there's two sizes of angles, right? We have this one that's 140, so that's obtuse. So you can always tell an obtuse angle, it's got a big opening, larger than 90 degrees, and it's going to have a smaller angle, an acute angle, smaller than 90 degrees. So those are the two angle measurements we just have to worry about. So just because we can, and it's super easy, let's figure out this angle measurement right here. 40. How'd you get 40? Yeah. I usually do it the subtraction method. So I usually either in your head or on paper, you do something like this. 180, take away 140, and that gives you 40. So that's the smaller angle. Every acute angle in this parallel line system is 40 degrees. So now we can just go through and either fill in either 140 or 40. So let's go ahead and do that. So this one is vertical, right? Those two are vertical. It's 40. These two are vertical. Hello. Okay. Thank you. This one is vertical. It's 140. All right. And that's all of those. But guess what? We can transfer that onto the other sets of angles, right? So this one that I'm pointing at here, what's the measurement there? Is it acute or is it?
180. Well, that one's acute.
It's acute, so it has to be 40. Okay, this one's obtuse, and it's also corresponding to the 140, so those have to be equal. And so this one is vertical to that 140. Okay. These are vertical to each other. So this is the one we were looking for, right? But it's so easy. Oops. It's so easy to find all of them. And that's going to be handy in other situations. And we'll just do it. But in particular, they asked us to find this measurement for angle X. So X is 140 degrees. Okay. But in a pinch, or sometimes we will need it, we can find all of them. Okay. So that's what we'll practice right now is finding all the angle measurements because you never know which one we're going to need to find. But it's always going to be that situation. You're given one, you find its supplement. That means the other one that makes it add up to 140, 180. And then you basically you could fill in the whole angle system and then you would figure out whichever one you need. Okay, so let's practice that here. We have 109. So let's figure out 180 minus 109. What was that again? 71. Yeah, thank you. All right. So that means the obtuse one is 109. The acute angle is 71. So let's just fill in all of our angles. So the one they needed us to find, that's an acute one. So what's the measurement there? 71 there. The obtuse one is 109. 109. 71. There's another acute one, 71, 109, 109, and 71. And if you notice, if you add up all these four angles that cluster around each other, that would equal 360 because it's one complete turn around the whole thing. Okay? So the one we needed was X, and that's 71. Okay? Any questions?
So X equals 71.
Yeah, because they did ask us to find a particular one. But it's so easy to find all of them, and sometimes you do need to find all or most of the angles. Okay, so I'd like you to try that on this one on your own. You're given this one, it's the obtuse angle, it's more than 90, it's 101. You got to find that one. Find all the angle measurements, though. Fill it all in, please. Okay, just like we did. So hopefully you found it to be 79 degrees. And so our angles were either 79 degrees for the acute ones or 101 for the obtuse ones. Okay? All right. I'd like you to try this one. This one you're going to find X and Y. So two separate measurements. Okay, so give that one a try.
Well, we already had the measurement of one.
Yeah, you do. You have the measurement of one. And you already know which one. You just said it. So these are the measurements hopefully you found. X is 134 and Y is 46 degrees. Okay. So now we're going to use this knowledge, the fact that your angles are either congruent or supplementary, with equations. We've kind of been doing it here a little bit, but we're going to formally do it a little more. You guys ready? All right, let's go to this side. Okay, so the angles are either supplementary or congruent. So I'm just going to write that here. Angles are either supplementary or congruent, meaning they measure the same amount, same thing. Okay, so they either add up to 180 or equal in size. I'm just going to put equal there. That's how I remember. Okay, so let's see here. It says, use your knowledge of parallel lines and transversals to set up an equation and find the value of x. Not only are we going to find the value of x, we're going to find the actual measurement of that angle. Okay, so here we go. Take a look here. Look at the two angles. I got this one, it's acute, and this one that they also want me to use, that's obtuse. Does this set up a supplementary situation where they add up to 180, or does it set up a congruent situation where they're equal to each other? What do you think?
They can do it.
So
No, wait, they're supplementary because the parallel lines are 180. They
yeah,
match 180, right?
basically, look, if I were to bring these two together, right? If I bring one line down to the other one, you see that they would form a linear pair?
Yep.
They would add up to 180. So whenever you combine an acute and an obtuse, right, it adds up to 180. So that's what you're going to do. This is a supplementary situation. So we're looking at supplementary angles. So what we can do is add them up, and that has to equal 180. So that's our equation. Take the first term, x plus 1, add the second term. I don't need the parentheses anymore because I'm just going to combine them. 7x minus 5. And that has to equal 180 degrees because the smaller one and the bigger angles make 180 degree angle. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine. We have an equation now, so we've solved equations before. We can take our x terms, I'll circle those, and our constants, 1 and minus 5, those would go together, so I'll put little boxes around those. And let's just put those together and figure out what we got. What do I get when I combine x with 7x? I get 8x. And then I combine 1 with minus 5. So I'll put minus 4 equals 180. Okay, so now it's just a two-step equation. Let's get rid of this 4.
So combine like terms is the first thing we do.
Yes, always. So 8x equals 180 plus 4 is 184. And divide by 8. And that's x is 23. So we just figured out x. X is 23 degrees. But we can go a little further than that because we have the knowledge that x is 23. Let's figure out this one on top. What's the angle measurement to this whole angle? It's 23 plus 1, right? Because we know x is 23. How many degrees is that? 24. So now we know this is 24 degrees. That's the acute angle. All the acute angles are 24 degrees. This one we can do 7 times 23 and take away 5. Or we could just use our knowledge that this is 24 degrees, right? So it's obtuse. I'm sorry, a supplementary. So it's 180 take away 24. So this angle measures 156. Check my math. So now we can even figure out the measurements of those angles. I want you to get good with that skill because tomorrow we'll start using these skills for triangles, and we'll definitely have to figure out angle measurements like that. Okay? Any questions? All right. So shall we move on to the next one? Okay, let's take a look at this next setup. So whenever you get these angles, study them. Are they acute? Are they obtuse? Or is it one of each? So this is definitely obtuse. It's more than 180. And this angle is definitely obtuse. It's more than 180. They're also alternate interior. So are these supplementary or congruent? Or congruent. They're both obtuse, so they both measure the same thing. So in this case, we have congruent angles. So in this case, they are most definitely congruent angles. So because they're congruent, we can say they're equal to each other. So you can take one of them, 6x plus 10, and say that equals 5x plus 28. Okay, so from our knowledge of parallel lines with transversals, we could say that. So we just have an equation with variables on both sides now. So let's get rid of one of the variables. I say we get rid of 5x. Let's take away 5x on both sides. Something we've done quite a bit now. So now we can get rid of that. So if I have 6x, I take away 5x, that gives me 1x. Whenever you have 1x, you don't need the 1, just write x. It helps with solving the equation as well. Equals 28. Because now to solve the equation, all you have to do is get rid of the 10. Won't have to divide anything at the end. Oops, 18, yes. I started copying down the same 28. What am I doing? It's x equals 18. Okay, so we have the value for x. Okay, and as an added bonus, we can figure out both the acute and the obtuse angles here. Let's just do one. It doesn't matter which one. We know that x is 18, right? So we have this expression 5x plus 28. Let's do 5 times 18 plus 28. So let's just do that. 5 times 18 plus 28. And 5 times anything is not too bad. It's 5 times 10, that's 50, and 5 times 8 is 40. 50 plus 40 is 90. So 5 times 18 is 90 plus 28. So our obtuse angle is what? 118. Okay, that's the obtuse ones. And if I wanted this partner in crime, the acute one here, it would be 180 minus 18. Or 118, I should say. And that would be what, 62? 62 degrees. So we just figured out all the angle measurements there. They're either 62 or 118. Okay. And this is all from the fact we knew that these were congruent. They had to equal each other. So if you're done here, I see a few people still writing. If you're done here, move on to the last one. Just decide, are those two angles that they're giving us some expressions for, are they supplementary or are they congruent? Take a look. You guys ready? Is anyone still writing any of this stuff? No? Okay. So take a look at these two angles. What do we have here? Supplementary or congruent? The size of the angles will tell you. This one is acute or obtuse?
Acute.
acute. And this one is acute or obtuse.
Obtuse.
So we got one of each. What does that mean? Supplementary or congruent? Supplementary. These are supplementary.
The same like the last one?
Like the first one.
Oh, yeah, like the first one.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, this tells us they add up to 180. So we can form an equation by adding these together and setting it equal to 180. So we could say 6x take away 5 plus x minus 25 equals 180 degrees. Okay. All right, so let's get going with this. So we got to combine a bunch of stuff. It's all on the left side, so combine your x's together. Notice I grabbed the plus or minus sign in front of each one of these. So I'm going to combine 6x with x, minus 5 with minus 25. And let's see what we get. So let's see, 6x plus another x makes 7x. Minus 5 and minus 25, you add those together, you get
30.
minus 30. Okay, so let's see here. Let's get rid of that minus 30. That's what, 210? So luckily I know that 7 does go into 210 evenly.
Wait, this is 30. Right?
Yeah. X is 30. There you go, that's 30 degrees. So we found out what x is. Let's figure out the two angles measurements that we have in this parallel line setup. I can either plug in 30 here or 30 there. What do you want? Which one do you think? Let's do this one. This one's super easy. It's 30 take away 25. X is 30, so 30 take away 25. So the acute angle measures 5 degrees. Okay? All I did was replace X with a number I know it represents, and that's the angle measurement there. Let's do 180 take away 5, and that's what, 175? Obviously, this angle situation is not drawn to scale. It's not drawn exactly the way it should, because 5 degrees would be very tiny. That would be a very small acute angle. And this would be much more open, more obtuse. I think they use the same diagram for all of them, but yeah, 175 degrees and 5 degrees. Okay? Any questions? All right, so today, this is what we're going to be doing on delta. Actually less than this, because you won't be asked to find the angle measurements there, but you are going to find out what x is. Okay?